Hello everyone, I am Sumit Chander Advocate and I welcome you to the web series Life Lessons from the Legends. Today, we shall learn the art of time management from the experience of someone who is not only a living legend in our legal profession but also the master of time management. Yes, I speak of Dr. Abhishek Singhvi. Though he is already the most visible and known personality and he needs no introduction, yet there are some very interesting facts about him that I wish to share with you. Dr. Abhishek Singhvi is one of the top few in the legal profession. In fact, he has contributed immensely to the start of the culture of mediation and conciliation in India. He was part of a high-powered committee of the Indian and US judges with only 2 lawyers, including him. It was set up by the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Ahmadi. In this report, in the mid-1990s and written substantially by Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, it led to the enactment of Section 89 of the Code of Civil Procedure, and there the various ADR options which was suggested by them has now been made into law. Friends, he is a third-term senior parliamentarian who has opened almost all the important parliamentary debates, including the Lokpal, Ayodhya, National Budget, and innumerable others. He is the former chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law and the former Additional Solicitor General of India. He is a well-known author and is a regular columnist in newspapers such as the Times of India, Hindustan Times, and Pioneer. He did his law from Trinity College, Cambridge, and later in life, he started the Singhvi Trinity Scholarship for Indians who wish to study at Cambridge. He supports many charities and good causes. To me, he is my friend, philosopher, mentor, and guide. He guides me not only in my profession but also in life. We go for morning walks together, and each day he inspires me and guides me on life. I have closely seen him, the way he lives his life, and more importantly, the way he manages his time so perfectly. I therefore felt it was imperative that everyone gets a chance to learn this art of time management by listening to his experiences that he shares with us in this video. I hope you will enjoy the video. But before we begin, I request you to please press the subscribe button below. Hello sir, thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule for this online interview today. I'm very fortunate to have been closely associated with you. I have seen you shuffle between your court cases, parliament, news briefings, lectures, etc. And all these things you are able to perfectly manage within the same working hours each day. You are known to be the master of time management. That is why today we want to learn from you, sir, the art of time management. So let me begin with the first basic question. How do you manage your time, and do you do it at the cost of your sleep?
Thank you for all the compliments, Sumit. First of all, I am not here to give any golden bullet or a magical formula. I don't think I'm here to educate anyone. It's also not a great idea to do things at the cost of your health. But I think it's just been a certain amount of organization and good luck. So I don't want to sound didactic or sermonizing. But yes, people have used lots of phrases, some intended to be complimentary, some pejorative, the ultimate multitasker, the time manager, etc. All I can say is that multitasking and time management has been the bane of my life. It's also been the joy of my life. And at the end of the day, it's a self-preservatory action. It is not because I want to do it. It is just that I can't survive without it. I have been unfortunate or blessed, depending on which way you look at it, in that I have always had multiple choices. Even today, at the much later stages of my life, I am fortunate or unfortunate, as the case may be, to have a choice between parliament, between courts, between press. And this makes multitasking and time management a necessity, whether an evil necessity or a glorious necessity, but it makes it a necessity because you can't survive. Now, I am supposed to have said that I am not able to time manage because I am Dr. Singhvi, but I am Dr. Singhvi because I am able to time manage. That sounds very condescending, very patronizing. It's not meant for that. It's just that you have to somewhere be a prisoner of your diary. You have to set down your day's activities, your 2-3 months activities, and your other tasks and chores, divide them, and then do what you can, and what you cannot have not much regret about. A typical day in my life for many, many decades has been a morning competition between newspapers, leftover briefs, nowadays for some years my grandson, and the normal chores of getting ready for court. So out of these 4, at least 2 are casualties, and of course a walk. So at least 2 are casualties. Then there is a rush to court at between 10 and 1. It is a chaotic no man's land. In the old days, it was frequent till 2012 that I had to rush from court, change in the car, and open a speech in Parliament, say around 12 o'clock after doing 3, 4, 5 SLPs. Finish them and come back in the afternoon and do some more work in other courts, followed by a press conference at 4 o'clock. These are not very good things for health, and therefore time management, you can say, is a necessity. I think I have enjoyed and learned along the way, but ultimately for each person, that which suits his genius or his vocation is what is necessary. Right.
Sir, I have seen you carrying this single sheet of paper with you all the time. You call this paper your supercomputer. Can you please today disclose to all the viewers the secret behind this supercomputer?
You see, I belong to the era when gadgetry was less, and as you know, I'm a gizmo crazy freak, but not a gizmo savvy person. I love gizmos, but I'm not very, very savvy, though I'm pretty good now for my age and generation. But I still use what you have called, not me, the supercomputer. It's actually a very simple thing. And if you want, I'll spend a minute describing it, although I'm not so sure how much your viewers will be interested. It's a simple thing in your hand, in your pocket, which makes it easy to see everything at a glance every minute. Gizmos have the big disadvantage of opening that software, going into it, searching and all. That takes too much time. I have everything in my hand at a glance. And this is basically 2 sides. Both sides are blank. The top side is changed every day by my clerk by stapling, which is divided into 5-6 sections. Basically, on the top is a section for outstation dates, which I have to be careful not to take as the next date. In the middle is just below the top is the Supreme Court cases for the day. This is a day sheet. Below that is the High Court cases for the day. And below that is the 3rd section, others. On the top right hand and the left, outstation dates. On the right hand are basically speeches, articles or deadlines I have to meet for those extracurricular activities, which are basically articles and speeches or events. On the left side, the list of telephone calls to make, because in India, you need to make multiple calls for the same thing. And without reminders, people don't do that. So I keep noting on the left and then cutting off as I finish it. On the bottom, right at the bottom is across the sheet 6 days or 7 days schedules, so that you just jot down very small lettering. For that day, there is an important dinner or something. Or, these are all schedules for post 4 o'clock or the conference timings, for example, for the day. So that all thing comes on the top sheet. The back part of that sheet is a chores sheet. That is not changed except once every month. The top sheet is taken away every day by my clerk and restapled for the next day. The back sheet remains the same for 20 days or 1 month, depending on when it is torn out. That has some 10-12 columns involving all the people whom I deal with, which includes my 4-5 staff, my 2-3 juniors, and some other people. So that, in the course of the day, you think of 20 chores which somebody has to do. And in my case, since I'm a senior counsel, it's not so much of procedural legal work. My juniors hardly find a mention in that sheet, but the staff. So, remembering to do this or to go here or to send this letter or to respond or financial chores, etc. They are put by name. The net result is that on both sides, you just turn a flip of the paper and you remember what to do. As somebody said, memory died when pen and paper were born. But the fact of the matter is that pen and paper are there to be used. I wish I could be like some people, or at least some who claim to be, that we write nothing and Some of my friends probably have less blood pressure and good health because some friend, incidentally, who keep no diary and wear no watch. And equally, that's a lesson for good health. But I can't do without it. I'm habituated to it, I'm dependent to it, and it's worked well for me. Also, I take two more lists, which are subsidiary lists. One is the next day's list. So if I'm going today on Monday, the Tuesday list is always with me. If I'm on Tuesday, then the Wednesday list is always there. Again, the same division of Supreme Court, High Court, and others. Others means everything other than Supreme Court and High Court. And then there's a 3-month list. Now, the 3-month list is that on the spot when the judge is giving you a date, you can just flip it out and see for 3 months. A very small opening sheet like this, 3 months are covered, day-wise. And you have written down there the cases for any of those 3 months, the days. So you know immediately the date being given is broadly suitable or not. It's for a broad look only. And the next day's sheet which goes is just taken by my clerk and stapled onto the previous day, which is torn away. And then, of course, he has to write down all the engagements in the telephones. That's the only thing he has to do daily. Otherwise, the sheet gets stapled on. It's a standard format. But at the end of the day, I think lawyers waste a lot of time. By the way, I'm talking of litigating lawyers. By the very nature of their work, they have to stand and wait for a matter to reach. And that's not in their hands. So these lists and the next day's schedule helps me. My car always carries that day's cases and the next day's cases. Or that day's events in Parliament and the next day's events. And in the gaps you get, maybe I'm able to do it more efficiently and more frequently than others, but everybody can do it and should do it. In the gaps you get, just sometimes 45 minutes, 1 hour between cases, you can cover a lot of the small things for next day. Some of the conferences are repeat conferences. You can have them in that time available. Yes, the longer ones, the more detailed ones, you can do in the evening. So that saves time. Or you can think or prepare a speech for the next day in Parliament, or do something like that. So I think that's about it. It's all commonsensical and nothing great. But yes, it's worth following for those, modified for those for whom it works. Thanks. Right.
So how do we decide the priorities in life for effective time management?
Well, I think prioritization is a must generally. You see, I remember a book by somebody, letter starting with C. I don't remember the name now. In my childhood, I read. He made 4 boxes, and I remember 3 of them. One said, busy, not important. The other said, important, not busy. Third said, busy and important. It's very easy to be very busy and not doing something very important. That's the box to avoid. Ideal box is busy and important. According to me, the ideal is just have leisure, do nothing. But if you have to do something, keep busy doing the important things. There is also Parkinson's law. Parkinson, as you know, is a joke law which makes all the funny laws. He says that work expands to cover the time available to do it. It is invariably true with me. The day I have less work, I find I'm not able to do it. The day which is less crowded and there seems to be plenty of time to do everything. A small work expands in time to cover the time available to do it. The meaning of that is that you feel busy and you're not necessarily doing something important. So, prioritization is what gives a level of hierarchy to your chores. Everything is important in one sense, but ultimately, only that which is really important has to come first. That which is a little less important has to come second, and then you can make the third category accordingly. It's not that you are neglecting the third and the fourth categories, but that prioritization helps you to clear the chores and makes you feel good that you've done what is necessary to be done. Right.
So, would you ever choose to be on time even at the cost of your comfort?
You know, first of all, conceptually, you must make a difference between punctuality and time management. Time management will bring you close to punctuality, but punctuality always does not mean time management. The two are different things. Secondly, multitasking can be managed only with time management, not merely with punctuality. As a matter of fact, multitasking makes for some dilution of punctuality. I'm a very punctual person by nature, but because I'm multitasking, things go beyond my hand and I will get late. I will not be always strictly punctual. But my time management has to be good to do multitasking. I think at the end of the day, you have to remember that people are there to take your time. So if you are going to give your time liberally without any controls, then you will find that people will simply swallow up the time. Now, let me give you an idea of punctuality and time management. In my young days, I used to do a lot of work in Jabalpur High Court, which even till today is very badly connected. Those it was very, very badly connected. But the object of an outstation lawyer doing an outstation work is to get back in one day, because you will otherwise waste 2 working court days for a one-day case in Jabalpur. Now, how do you do it? So, in those days, I used to take a flight after court hours in Delhi. Delhi, Bhopal used to be a flight. Relax in a nice hotel in Bhopal for 3 or 4 hours. Take a night train from Bhopal to Jabalpur, which comes in early in Jabalpur. Do the case comfortably the whole day. And then coming back, there are 2 options. The same train comes back at a little odd time from Jabalpur to Bhopal. And early morning in Bhopal, there is a flight which gets you to port just around 10:30. So you waste only 1 working day in Delhi. But better than that is to drive from Jabalpur to Nagpur and take a direct flight the previous night. It's always better to be back the previous night than the morning of the court day. I do it frequently for non-legal work, for political work in Jodhpur. I have 400 projects or had. Now I'm an MP from West Bengal in my 3rd term. But in those days, for 2 terms, for 12 years, I've been an MP from Rajasthan. So 400 projects in health and education. Now, to inaugurate them, to visit them, you can't spend 2 days for really a one-day job. In Jodhpur, as long as you go one way by train and the other way by flight, you can do it in one day. So I have no problems, provided that train is an overnight train. Of course, we MPs are entitled to a very high class anyway. So why should we grudge and complain?
Sir,
Thanks, right.
So how do you segregate your professional and personal time?
That's the point I was making earlier. It's an important point. It's not personal time, it's not being rude. You see, I was just telling you that people, even genuinely and bona fide, will eat up your time. And you must have spaces and times for yourself. And that only comes by designated zones. So, for example, I'm doing something all the time. I may be writing an article, thinking out something, just watching an action thriller, listening to some nice music, playing with my grandchild. But it doesn't mean I'm idle. But I am not necessarily doing law at that time. Now, if I'm not doing law, I don't have a walk-in, walk-out system in my office. You can just come when you like. And once you come, you notify yourself in my office and I will come down and meet you. That's just not on. It's not being rude, but it's time allocation. Secondly, you must do things bunched up. So if you are having conferences, do all the conferences in one go. On a weekday, 5 to 7 or 6 to 8. On a Saturday, 11 to 1 or a Saturday evening. You overflow on a Sunday. But what is this system? I find very strange. Lawyers will give one conference at 11 o'clock. Then somebody else is coming at 4 o'clock. Then somebody else is coming at 6 o'clock. The time is the same. All of them will take the same half an hour. But you are not able to think consistently or anything because every 2 hours you are zigzagging between works. So I think these are elementary things. And also, you must not only respect your own private zones, but you must make people aware of respecting them. Because the private zone is not private in the sense in which you and I are using it. It is private in the sense of doing things which you enjoy doing. I give you 5 examples. Article writing is not a small thing. Speech looking, researching is not a small thing. Playing with your grandchild, listening to lovely Bollywood themes. How can you do it if you have an open house as far as non-privacy zones are concerned? Okay, right.
Sir, last but not the least, is there any message you would like to give to the youngsters who aspire to become like you?
First of all, I have no illusions. I don't want to sound pompous. There is no question of giving lessons. Today's people, I have chaired many boards of election for young people and sat on many in my days. And I find actually that the youngsters of today are far brighter than we were at their comparable ages. So I have no illusions of grandeur, and I certainly don't want to sermonize or sound pompous, as I said. Yes, in a humble way, I would suggest that there is no alternative to hard work. As somebody said, there are lots of alternatives to Harvard. There is no alternative to hard work. Number 2, you have to broadly enjoy what you're doing. You might be working very hard, but if you are cussing it and cursing it and not really enjoying it, at the end of the day, somewhere something will break. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Your subject, it's not only law, it's within law what subject you're doing, what kind of work. Broadly, you have to enjoy it. Something, of course, we don't enjoy, we have to do it out of necessity. But unless you broadly enjoy the journey, and I don't think I have found a more enjoyable journey than speaking in Parliament, arguing in court, addressing the press. I get irritated, I get pressurized, I get boxed in because of the multitasking, but I still enjoy it. Without that, I wouldn't survive, I wouldn't be doing it. Thirdly, you should feel blessed if you have choice. I have from early days, I remember the early days when we used to finish, the holiday started, I have religiously, by the way, one of the other lessons is, those who don't take their holiday seriously will not take their work seriously. I can proudly proclaim that for now, 30 odd years, I have never missed a June holiday. It used to be 4 weeks in the old days, now it's about 3 weeks with the family, sometimes with friends. So you must take a holiday. But in the early days, even now, just now about to embark on a holiday, I get an alternative, compelling choice. Some cases reaching, something is required. So you have to make those choices. But make the choices and then don't regret. That's the third point. I have to do 5 things in a day. I know that sometimes I'll not be able to do more than 3. I prioritize them the previous night. And I end up doing maybe 2 or maybe 4. I don't regret the non-done one. I go with a zest to try and do all 5. But I know that I won't do 1. Number 4, I think don't sleep without finishing your dark and without planning for the next day. These are not things to be sermonized. It's become a habit of mine. I get a dark sent to me in the car when a car comes to fetch me from an 11 o'clock flight, I return to Delhi from outstation. In the car, I finish the dark, mark it to all my staff. And then, even if I come 11:30 late and there is trouble in the house if I'm making noises or disturbing people, I must plan for the next day, the 1, 2, 3, which I require for the next day. Otherwise, I feel uncomfortable sleeping. I think I also, in my early days, you have to decide whether you're an owl or a lark. Some people are owl, and you have to decide, in other words, which is your most efficient zone of function. If you're an owl, you're an efficient person functioning in the night. If you're a lark, you're an efficient person functioning in the mornings. I am generally, I think, a lark. So in the young days when I started, the more the work, the earlier automatically used to become my time of getting up. I have, touched wood, the blessing that I am able to sleep at 5 minutes notice. I get a reasonably sound sleep. As you grow older, the duration of the sleep declines for everyone. It's now about 5.5, 6 hours for me. But whenever I put an alarm, because I have to get up and make some 3 heavy briefs, I'm talking about my young days, I always found that 2 or 5 minutes before the alarm I would get up. And if you had 10 briefs which were difficult, then your getting up time has to go from 7 o'clock to 6 to 6 to 5, 5 to 4, 4 to 3. It is a regular hearing of big. I'm talking my young days. Now, of course, it's much less strenuous. You have people who have done the work for you and things are easier. But there is nothing, I'm not talking specifically for lawyers, better than well-prepared, ready briefs. And in other activities, public life activities, there is nothing better than having thought out what you want to say. And otherwise, of course, the only other advice is that you must also have shut-off time. You must also have private zones of time, which I've already spoken about. Right.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experiences and techniques for effective time management. It's been a great learning, not only for me, but for all who are watching this today. We are indeed fortunate to learn these life lessons from a living legend such as you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this candid conversation with Dr. Abhishek Singhvi on the art of time management. We will keep coming back with more. Please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the link below and remain updated. And also, do not forget to like, share and comment on this video. Till then, thank you, goodbye and namaste.